Adventure of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Wake up, America! It's time for the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY.com, West Palm Beach's #1 internet radio station. Here's your host, the Pipeman.
She's a monster, my Harley Quinn, baddest body the cloud has ever seen. Roller coaster, spinning wheel, record turning, electrify.
This is the Pipeman here on the Adventures of Pipeman W4CY Radio, and I'm very excited about our next guest because, man, their music dates back to when I'm a little kid, and that's going pretty far back. So I'd like to welcome to the show Stevie and Richie from The Suite. How are you?
Really great. Thank you. Yep. Just a few decades, really. Come on.
I know, right? It kind of like amazes me nowadays that bands like yours or other bands that have been around that long are even still around now. Like, I think it's so cool.
Yeah. We're excited to keep this vision alive, and we're better than ever. Well, I'll tell you, when the band came out in the '60s, late '60s, as it's evolved into so many various incarnations, we're very proud of what we're doing out there and pleasing the fans nationally, worldwide. We're excited about our new material as well, so it's all good.
Yeah, so I always like to find out from artists that have been doing this so long, like, what's it like to come up with new material now opposed to, back in your beginning? And I know with this new song, Insane, basically, it was something that like just happened in the shower.
A little bit. That's Patrick had his vision of it in the shower, but we kind of all did this somewhat as a collaboration. That Jimmy, our guitar player, our virtuoso guitar player, and Patrick had this riff idea, and we kind of fleshed it out in rehearsal, and brought it into the studio and just cut. Basically, we set up a structure for it, and we laid down the tracks without any vocals. And then we started to craft the song after the fact and put in the vocals. We did all that production at my house, and it's a collaboration thing that, I think we all have our energy in it. That's why you get what you get out of it.
Well, yeah, I think that's the only way to do it, right?
Exactly.
But how's it like? It just boggles my mind that you can just still come up with new material, whether it's a riff or lyrics, like especially a riff to me, because it's like, how many riffs could there possibly ever be? I always think, and it's like, but yet a new one always comes along.
You could never write all the riffs there are to write. Somebody asked John Williams, you're in your 90s. How come you keep writing music? What is the point? The dude's done everything. And he says, because you could never write all the music there is to write. So with that in mind, there's always a new riff. There's always a new twist. There's always even if we play the exact same beat as, say, Ballroom Blitz, it's going to be different anyway, because it's a different song, it's a different time, it's everything's changed, and a lot of the songs that were in the early library were written by Mike Chapman. He was a very, very big influence on what happened. He was a great songwriter. He's probably in the top 10 of all time songwriters. This guy, he wrote for everybody. And so they had a lot of material to work with to begin with, the classic band. And so And they also had Phil Weinman, and they had these people in the studio. You know, that's how you made a record back then. It had to be successful. There wasn't any, you know, hey, let's see what happens and put it up there on social media. It had to be a success.
Yeah.
The record company demanded it. They put the right producers in place. It was a different industry. Now you have just 1 billion songs a week put out there on the internet.
I know,
we
right?
didn't want to be that. We didn't want to be just another billion song on the internet. We wanted to do something that is actually has a lot of balls.
I love it. Well, I'll also add to it that because of the way music is now and the way music used to be, you guys are part of what's bringing back actual musicianship by continuing to write music.
That's right. I mean, the key thing here is what you do live, okay? And so many people, these tribute bands and cover, you know, they play with click tracks and they try to do all this kind of thing. We're the real deal. And when we hit the stage, it's like seeing Zeppelin meets, you know, seeing, that's what we grew up with. That's what we expect. Organic. It's what Deep Purple, when you jam. We jam. We play. We spread it out. And we go into solos. We go where we want to go. And that's what keeps it alive and fresh for us. And that's where the audience picks up. And that's what made Led Zeppelin and all those bands really ignite. The people wanted to hear that spontaneity. Yeah.
Oh, I'm one of those people, okay? Like, I go and I tour and I do radio coverage at music festivals all over the U.S., UK, and Europe. And there's some bands that I love that now, like, it's like, all right, I can quote everything that they even say in between songs. Like, so then it's like I'm disinterested. But then there's the other bands where, man, I could see them 10 times a year and it's still a surprise and it still gets me pumping. And that's because it's actual, a live show with what could be mistakes or what have you. I feel that way with radio too. It shouldn't be polished. When I edit my interviews, I don't edit my fuck ups. I just make it sound better.
Yeah. You condense it, to what you need.
Yeah, and like I like including the things that are screw ups because that's the real deal, and I think that is what people want nowadays. They want the real deal. They don't want something scripted. They don't want something that like is predictable. I've told this story a few times, but one of my biggest memories of thousands of concerts I've ever been to, it was the US Festival in 1983. Where David Lee Roth forgot the words "They Ain't Talking About Love." And instead of trying to fake it, he just yelled out to 300,000 people, "I fucking forgot the words." And they roared like it was the best thing that ever happened.
There you go. That's a lead singer. That's a guy that knows what he's doing. He's in his skin. That band, the chemistry, it was just there, what do you say?
Right? Exactly.
And you have to be ready to do stuff like that live. We have so much stuff that's done to tracks, and we even play with a lot of bands today they're doing music that's classic rock music, and they're doing it to tracks. And I just think, well, whatever, whatever you think you need to do to get your show done, but that's not us. We're going to go out there, we're going to hammer it out, and if there's problems, we're going to plow right through it. We're going to give them the show of their life. That's our goal.
I think too that's the way to get people off their phones nowadays at concerts, by them not knowing what to expect. They have to look up the whole time.
Good point. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it all gets captured now. I mean, you can't do a show without it being totally captured 1,000 times. So,
no doubt.
Yeah, it's good.
And you guys have been doing a lot live. You got something coming up very soon here in Vegas at the Golden Nugget. So that's cool.
It's a family for us there. We love that place. Yeah.
So what can people expect at that show? For people that have never gone to one of your shows, tell me why they should be there.
Because it's the first time we've ever come on stage nude. Okay.
Well, maybe for you. Maybe for you.
Sorry.
You should do that at the Sphere. And then it'll be just like all over the whole Sphere.
Yeah, that's a good look.
No, that would not be pretty. Okay, that would not be pretty.
Yeah.
What's going to be amazing is you're going to see the new songs that we've created. You're going to hear "Insane" and "Little Miracle," and you're going to see a presentation. That's the spice on this time, but we mix it up. It'll be another set. It's something that we play the Nugget a couple times a year. This time we're going to mix it up, so it's going to be fresh. And, we've really evolved the show. So even in between the songs, we jam. And that's what I was saying, the spontaneity of what we do. And we're flying by the seat of our pants, too. And
it's more fun, right?
Yeah. When you fly by the seat of your pants, it's like, but if you're a qualified musician, you should be able to play and be able to just salvage whatever you've got. You just, it's just like, okay, let's go. And that's what you're going to see at the Golden Nugget this time. It's going to be better than ever.
I love it. And so, a lot of times audiences, they only want to hear old stuff. They don't want to hear new stuff. And to me, the benchmarker of how good the new music is how well the audience is accepting it, especially when you've been around a while. So what have you been experiencing? Like the audience has been like loving your new music so far, right?
Yeah, they do. They're singing the words by the end of the song, so what more can you ask for?
That says it all right there.
Yeah.
Because there's so many times when people are like, play this song, or they're like, they go for their, their drink or whatever during the new song. So to hear that they're singing the song.
Nobody leaves our show.
That just says it all.
Nobody leaves. Nobody leaves our show. It's just they're on their feet. We blow the place up every single time. It's just what we do.
And that's why you're true musicians. Now, I want to talk about your background there because that is the cover, and I absolutely love artwork when it comes to, I think kids are missing that nowadays, man. That's part of the whole experience. So tell us a little bit about how that creativity came about.
Go ahead, Stevie.
Okay. This was created by Drake Mufasa, and he's our graphics guy. He did our video for it as well. So we felt like, let's just keep with this theme of this, it's like a DC comic video. And it's so cool. It spans all the generations. It's not like some old thing. It's not, it's just like everything at once. So this girl is so instrumental in the video. We've just figured, let's just have her be the shot,
Yeah.
And Drake found this particular look. And I think it just says everything. Insane. I mean, look at this girl. She's crazy, man. Look at that eye. It's bleeding.
I know, it's badass.
I've taken some girls like this home. My God.
I think she makes Harley Quinn look sane.
Pretty much.
And yes, I have to say I've probably taken a few like that. I like the crazy ones. I have a sign, in my bedroom that two of my daughters bought me that says my next wife won't be crazy. And I responded to, they bought this for me. They're talking about their mother, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't bet on that. I was just talking about it on my live show yesterday. It's so funny that we're talking about this now because the subject of my live show yesterday was, why do women love serial killers? And then I talked about myself, and I'm like, well, is it bad that 2 of the 3 loves of my life aren't even real life people? They're characters. Like one is Harley Quinn. So that just says it all.
I don't know. I've always wondered that myself. People just line up for these people that are doing life in prison for murder or whatever.
Right.
Talk about the ultimate bad boy. It just.
I mean, think about it. Charles Manson. Okay, what these women would do for Charles Manson. Okay, or Ted Bundy, and like some of these serial killers, they live like normal lives with a wife, and the wife's like clueless of what's really going on.
Yeah. Well, you have to hide it. I mean, you don't want to, it's not something you want to advertise that you're out there just like slaying people.
Well, unless you're Dexter. Have you ever watched that show?
Oh, I love that show, dude.
So that's my other love of my life is Hannah McKay. Again, a character. But like he could be himself around her because she was a psycho serial killer too.
Yeah, that was a cool series. They rebooted it too, I think, didn't they?
Oh, not only did they reboot it, but now they have another series now, like a prequel series. So they had the what? Okay, so that's the reboot, probably. That's probably, but it's like a prequel, and they had the one where how he is now 10 years later, but that was like a one-off. That was a one season, and that's it. Now they have this new season of when he's younger and how he got to that point.
It's killing frogs or whatever, dissecting lizards.
Yeah, it's and then like it gives a lot of the backstory of his brother, and how his brother stalked him his whole childhood.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah,
great actor.
Yeah, you'll have to check it out. If you like Dexter, you'll like that. You'll like both of the new ones for sure.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
So tell everybody how they can get the new music, how they can check out all your tour dates. You have a pretty badass website, so let's give that out and give your socials and all that stuff.
Go ahead, Richie.
Yeah, go to the Sweet, SWEET, sweetband.com. thesweetband.com. And that will get you everything you need as far as tour dates. They're being added daily. And as far as going on Spotify and all the major to get Insane, download Insane, Spotify and Panda, everywhere you can find Insane, just put it in your computer and that'll pull that up. So that's the main way to reach us. And there you go.
Nice. Yeah. So one story, good or bad, that you probably both have different stories in your whole career of doing music or doing this project or anything, what holds out in your mind most of all?
Wow. That's a long career of
I know, is it? That's the hardest question in the universe right there.
I could throw one out that's we're not a language barrier show, correct? We can say whatever.
You could say whatever the fuck you want. In fact, that my show yesterday is What the Fuck Wednesday. On my Wednesday show, we call it What the Fuck Wednesday.
Okay, all right. So we get my dear friend Nick St. Nicholas is from Steppenwolf. And when I was young, I was in my 20s and I was playing with him. This is he broke me into the the big time kind of, And we always ended up playing biker festivals, right? And so if you're associated with Steppenwolf, you kind of get a get out of jail card from the Hells Angels for free, no matter what, for life. It's
right.
Just a thing, right? So I haven't used mine yet, but I still got it. I threatened people with it though. But
there
anyway,
you go.
We're playing we're playing a private show for the Hells Angels Minnesota chapter, and it's this big field, and there's just hundreds and maybe 2,000 bikers. They're all Hells Angels, and then Hells Angels, friends, whoever
right.
guys are that they allow to exist and they don't fight with. And they're all out there, and we're up on this trailer and we're just hammering away. We're just playing this shit, and we're trying to do everything we can to get their attention. And everybody's just got their back to us. They could give a shit. They could care less. And I'm standing over there on keyboards at the time. And Nick goes up to the mic. He takes the mic. He goes, motherfuckers. Hey, motherfuckers. Motherfuckers. And these guys slowly start to turn around and they're looking at it and they're kind of like reaching for their fucking piece and shit.
Right.
And thinking, oh my God, we're fucking dead, man. And then the next thing you know, there's this like yeah, they start fucking, yeah, you fuckers. And they're yelling back at us. And we're yelling at each other, fuck you. And they're fuck you. And then we started playing the Pusher. And the rest of the night was just unbelievably cool. Nick
that does rank up as one of the most amazing stories I've heard. And I've heard a lot of them. Okay. And that one's really cool. And it reminded me, and right from the get-go, it reminded me of the David Lee Roth story, because after he did that, some one dude heckled him. And you've probably seen the video. He goes, I'm going to fuck your girlfriend.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'll give you a quick one, okay? Because you're talking about serial killers. Growing up in L.A., so I saw Van Halen play at Gazzarri's, and I was in a big band at the time in LA at the Los Angeles. And so, it was the days of Coke and everything you could imagine. And I was in a big popular band in Los Angeles. We would outdraw Van Halen. And so we had everybody that would come out, Glenn Hughes, everybody would come to see our band. And a lot of, Chuck Wright was in the band, we're called Satyr, and Satyr. So we're this major band. And the Starwood was a big, big club. And so we met this one cat who, sold drugs. And long story short, I was at his house one night and talking about serial killers. Come to find out later, it was the Hillside Strangler. And they broke into the house where we were there. And I was handcuffed and almost killed by the Hillside Stranglers. It was Bono and Bianchi who broke in, and it was a drug ripoff that night. But they came in as cops with homicide badges.
Holy shit.
We were handcuffed, and I had a gun to my neck. I was pleading for my life. So that's the dark side of what was of rock and roll. So you want a real story about rock and roll and being involved in that seedy club of the Starwood and the whiskey and that whole scene and growing up in LA. I'll give you that one. But anyways.
And for anybody that thinks it's like unbelievable, I lived that Sunset Strip scene in the 80s full on. That is so believable that happened. And like, I lost my virginity in the Manson caves. Oh, man.
Says it all, man.
Exactly. So anything else you guys want to share with the listeners that we haven't covered yet that they need to know before we go?
They got to come see the band.
Yes.
Come see the band and demand that our band comes to your city, because we want to spread our music all over. People that in the U.S., they kind of listen to, they know the Ballroom Blitz, Fox on the Run, but not as much in Canada or the UK where they know the name Sweet. So Sweet, keep it in your mind, and we're ready to rock the house. So we really appreciate it. Thank you. See you.
Make sure you go listen to Insane and go download that baby, or put it in your
playlist,
song list, your playlist, and we'll see you out there somewhere. We're playing Golden Nugget next weekend on the 14th.
Nice. And it is a badass song. I used it as my fuel to get me pumped up for the interview, because music is always the pump up for me. And that song definitely gets the adrenaline pumping for sure.
Excellent. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys for making great music, and thanks for being on the Adventures of Pipeman.
Right on, buddy.
Thank you.
It. This is Stevie Stewart from The Suite, and you're listening to and watching The Pipeman on W4CY Radio.
Thank you for listening to the Adventures of Pipeman on W4CY Radio.